What makes you think that I would do that?
Be aware that I just turned it on.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, but
Oh no, not a camera.
it's perfectly fine. I mean, that's what we hope for.
Yes, of course. And then there was this other time where...
Well, there is, I don't know. There is one question he suggested.
Yeah.
And it refers to the speech of last year.
Yeah, the Red Steel thing.
And I think you probably answered during this year's speech.
Yeah.
But anyway, the question was 1 year later.
Right.
Are we still fucked?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, there's no escaping that. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, if you want to narrow it down a little bit, because there's some areas where we're not fucked, and but I mean, so let me answer that in two ways. First, in talking about the motion control thing, right, and that whole piece of it about how are we going to do it? I mean, look at what's happened in the year since, right? Have you seen any great action games? I mean, we have the Kinect, we have the Move, we have all of this, right? I mean, we have one interesting shooter, sort of, right? And I mean, and everything is going into that sort of that gimmick mode, right? And I think it comes down to the fundamentals I laid out in that talk, which is just to say, if you have to buy the attachment, no one's going to do it, right? And so I am still hopeful. I am still hopeful.
You still believe?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. In fact, more than ever. I wake up in the middle of the night like with these dreams about Red Steel 3. About oh my God, that would be so cool. And I mean, it's really, I think that in the next generation, if this motion control stuff becomes standard, becomes sort of like in the mix, then I think that there's a chance for us to have one or two really incredible experiences, right? But I mean, what I've been playing, since what I've dumped the most time into over the last 12 months is Demon's Souls, and dude, it's that experience, and it's like Demon's Souls is trying to come at that same experience, but through a different route, through a specific animation for each weapon, right? But it's got that same, like, I can reach, I have this sense of reach, and timing is all important, and I want that sword fighting game. I want it. I want to either make it, and if no one else, I want to play it, and if no one else makes it, I'll make it.
What do you think of doing it with something like Kinect, with nothing in your hands?
Oh, I think it could be great. The thing that's incredible about Kinect is that we could do this. All I have to do is just say, because all I have to do is track your hand position, right? And Kinect knows what it is. So even you could pick up a dowel and use that as a sword, and I think it would work fantastically. I see. My main concern, the questions I had for the Kinect guys were about how do I move, and their answer was, well, you use the controller for that. And I'm like, sweet. All right. Cool. That makes sense to me. Let's go. Right. But it's still the market limitation is we're still kind of in the early days about that. And like I said before, there is always going to be a large percentage of people that just don't want to get off their ass. Right. And I'm one of them. I'm one of them.
I can play.
Yeah, and that's okay. It's totally cool. It's not it's not like you should get off your ass, right? Because it's for video games, man. Right? It's okay. It's sit down, enjoy yourself, have a good time. But if you're part of that 10% of humanity who believes that exercise is fun, then this kind of game will be for you, right? But unfortunately, that puts this constraint on your market. So I think the future is bright. It's just a few years off, and I'm not sure how it will play out. I'm not. I would love to be part of that conversation, but you never know. With my career, you never know. I never know what I'm doing from 1 year to the next. So.
Because one thing you said is that you need people to have the Kinect or Move or whatever out of the box with the console.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, Motion Plus. A huge amount of people have Motion Plus.
How many Motion Plus games have there been?
Yeah, and that's
since
my point.
Last year?
Even if they have it,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
we have to go.
Yes. How many? No, I'm not going to throw you out. So how many minutes do you need to
I don't know.
close it down?
If it's okay
minutes?
to you, there are tables just outside.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
No problem.
Okay.
Are you recording?
Yeah, I don't.
And we're back.
Okay. What were we saying? Yeah, nobody bought Motion Plus game, even if they had the controller. So, do you think that will really change?
I think what's interesting is that it hasn't been a major factor. It hasn't been, Motion Plus was very successful. I think Red Steel demonstrated that. Not just Red Steel. We're going to see, I'm sure we'll see more out of that with Zelda. But it's not been the topic of conversation. It wasn't the topic of conversation at E3 last year, or this year. It wasn't really the topic of conversation last year, right? It hasn't had the kind of an impact, right? In fact, I think people kind of expected that. The part of the issue is that Motion Plus is part of the technology that people feel there's this idea that people that the consumers express, which is that should have been in there in the first place, right? And whether or not that's true, that's how they feel about it, right? So now it's like, well, now we have it in the Kinect, and we have it in the Move, and so we're kind of like, oh yeah, cool. Now we know that works. Now show us the games, and the games that are coming out are not, they're not for me anyway. They're not filling that void. Not, I mean, there's some exceptions, of course, but it's pretty rare. It's pretty rare. So I am hopeful. I am hopeful that that the sword fighting game that I think the world deserves is out there. But what form that will take and how it will get made remains to be seen.
Okay.
I hope it's me. I hope I get to do that.
Okay. A step back.
Yeah.
I'm curious on how your career began. Why did you get into video game? Are you a hardcore gamer?
Apparently, it's the only thing I can do and not get fired. So I really, it's gaming for me. Well, I mean, dude, my dad was a computer programmer. I was playing Rogue and text adventures and these Unix games when I was 7 years old. Which was before dinosaurs, ruled the earth, long before you guys were born. So
not the long.
So I mean, I had been around technology and games in particular for a long time, and of course, my first great gaming love was Dungeons and Dragons. I got the D&D Blue Box. The basic set when I was a kid, and I never stopped playing. I'm buying the 4th edition books now. I'm still playing. So it's I've been a gamer kind of my entire life, and so the conjunction of those two things, of course, led me to this. I initially thought, because when I was growing up, before there were, I was coming into my career before there were schools that could teach you about game development. And in fact, when I was going to school in 91, 92, 93, the idea that you could even have a job in games, that was crazy, right? That was something people in garage did, right? That was something else. And so it didn't even occur to me. I was like, no, I want to make movies. And so I went and studied film at college. But I sucked. I was awful. I couldn't. I had started late, and I had a lot of the foundational stuff, but I didn't have the language and the sort of there's a culture in film in the film development community that I just don't have. I have the geek culture. I've been a geek my entire life. My dad was a geek. My mom was a geek. I'm a geek. So I just stumbled into it. My first game gig was my uncle. I was bemoaning my uncle. I was saying like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I need a job where, I can use all of this storytelling, movie, cinematic experience, and my technology skills, because I was a programmer at the time to pay the bills. I had learned to program. And he's like, I know these guys. They own a company. I think they're making like some X-Files game or something like that. And I blanked out for a minute, and I woke up with my hand around his throat, and I'm like, why didn't you tell me that sooner? Why didn't, right? Because he'd known these guys he'd been working on it for 3 years, right? And he'd never mentioned that he happened to be best friends with the founders of Hyperbole Studios, which is the studio that did the Vortex and Quantum Gate and all these old CD-ROM games. So I went and interviewed and got the gig as a programmer. So it was good luck. The rest was just failing up. It was from start to finish. It was just like, that's you make a mistake in the games industry, they promote you, and that's how I got pretty much how I got my jobs.
And I don't know if it's gonna sound offensive or what, but
try. Let's find out if you can actually offend me. Many have tried.
No, I don't. I'm not. No, I'm pretty good at offending people. Anyway, I looked at all the game you worked on.
Oh yeah.
And to me, it looks like with Far Cry 3, it's the chance of, making maybe for the first time a really great AAA.
You're saying that all my other games sucked?
No, but
come on, just say it, man.
No,
just
they
say
didn't suck. But come on, they were all licensed game and Wii games.
Dude,
so.
I just got up in my talk and I said.
I have to say, I only played Red Steel 2.
X-Files, of course. X-Files.
But I have X-Files. I have the game. I didn't play it, but I have it.
That's a good game. That's a good game. My lowest scoring game was the X-Men movie game. X-Men 3, the movie game. It was a 53. Or at least it was last time I checked on Metacritic. And my highest is like an 85 or 86. And Everything or Nothing was my top end. So I'm not what you think of when you look at my career. My career, it looks like a career.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a rock star, right? It doesn't look like someone who just knocked it out of the park. Who is that's not Steven Spielberg, right? That's not it's not Jaws as your first film and then you move on to, right? It's not it doesn't look like that kind of resume, and it's absolutely true. I'm not that guy. I'm more like John Carpenter. Right?
Well, right? That's a pretty good
I hope. I aspire to, right? I would love that because, of course, he's one of my favorite filmmakers. But when I think about that, right, it's not all of his films are good, right? There's some stinkers in there. There's some, no offense, John. I love you. No offense. But there's some that are, some are better than others, right? But The Thing will forever be, one of my top, greatest films of all time, right? So I have this inconsistent thing. So you're absolutely right. There's this sort of like trajectory in my career, but I like to think of it as, to me, it feels like moving from licensed games to game games. That was really the shift to Ubisoft. Moving to Ubisoft was where I started to make the change to, because Ubisoft doesn't really do licensed games, so I kind of been shifting to doing what I call game games, right? Games that have their IP heritage in gaming, right? That was Red Steel, and now I worked on Ghost Recon for a while and Far Cry, right? These sorts of things. And so it's been a weird because honestly it's funny. You're one of the first people to ask me that. It's a little embarrassing even to talk about it, right? Because in the games industry, you're supposed to be Blizzard every time. Right? You're not supposed to accept a job on a game that's in trouble and a game that might not be good, right? You're not supposed to be proud of a production that didn't result in a good game, right? You're not supposed to talk about that stuff, right? But it's like, you look at my resume, it's like, yeah, there's some stinkers on there. Yeah, wow, really, they're not all good, right? There's some good stuff, right? Of course, on the inside, I have to justify it. I have a positive story that I tell myself about my career, and I think ultimately, though, you guys have to tell me if it has any value and what the end is. Because ultimately, it's all about, did people get good value? Did people enjoy the games that you're making? Right? Did the teams succeed? Right? Did the people who you worked with thank you for the work that you've done? It's all of that. It's this very complex thing. So, I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a weird one because I didn't plan this. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It wasn't like, oh, you know what I think I'll do? It's first I'm going to work on the X-Files, and then I'm going to go over and work on the Bond franchise for 6 years, and then I'll work on Lord of the Rings for 6 months, and then I'll
With no dwarves.
With no dwarves, and then I'll do 4 months on Godfather, jump over to Activision, work on the X-Men movie game, then work on a unannounced weird little attempt to do a third-person version of Call of Duty for a year, get that canceled, then work on Guitar Hero Van Halen, which isn't even on my resume. When I launched that one, I was a creative director on Guitar Hero Van Halen, and then go to Ubisoft, work on Red Steel 2, right? And then Ghost Recon and Far Cry. Perfect plan, right? That's a license for success. That's a recipe for success right there. You know, if you're watching this, do what I did, and you know, can't go wrong. I don't know, right? It's weird. It was a weird plan, but at the end of the day, I have a reputation in the industry for succeeding with challenging creative problems under an enormous amount of pressure.
That's a nice reputation.
And I'm pretty good at that. So, I also have a reputation for snapping at the wrong moments.
Please don't snap.
Yeah. So it's kind of a mixed thing, but that seems to be where I go. So.
And Far Cry 3 is from a series obviously you didn't create.
I totally created Far Cry.
Which was the subject of your speech in a way.
Yeah, working with other people's ideas, exactly.
Is it much different from working on a movie license? Just having
No, it's the same. Well, I mean, it's what's different. What's different with Red Steel and with Far Cry, and even with working on the other game stuff, right? Is that the people who invented the IP, the people who own the IP, are the people who are paying your paycheck. It's the same people. So at least you have a pretty good chance that they'll agree with each other, themselves, right? So because normally what happens if you're working on a license project, you have the licensor, the people who hold the license, right? And then you have the people who are paying your paycheck, and they're different people. And if they disagree, you can get into a lot of trouble. Working on a game IP, that doesn't exist, right? Working on a game, if I have a question about what was the basis of the Far Cry universe, the foundation of that game, and etc., well, I can just go ask the people who were involved in some of the basic conception, which is really cool. It was cool for it was the same thing for Red Steel, right? So it's convenient in that way, and it also gives us a certain amount of leeway, right? There's more freedom, right? There's more of a sense of freedom, but because of course we're sort of able to define what that, as Ubisoft, we can say Far Cry is about this, right? Far Cry 3 will be about this.
What is it about? I'm not sure because they look so different from what.
Insanity. Well, it's Far Cry 3 has always been about the goal of Far Cry 3, from my perspective, is to take that awesome heritage that gamers love from the past, carry it forward, be inspired by it. That's all the stuff I talked about in my talk, right? Be inspired by what has come beforehand, right? Become a fan of that, move it and do the best version of that we possibly can, and to add a whole new layer on top of that, to then take it to somewhere else where it's never gone before. And then in this case, that's for Far Cry 3, that's narrative, where we are bringing a level of characterization and production value and character performances that hasn't been a part of the franchise in the past. So that's cool.
Is it you that said that it's going to be better than L.A. Noire actors?
Yeah, well, I think so. I mean, it's the thing about the I don't remember. I say a lot of stuff, right? And that's part of the reason that they're careful about letting me out because I say stuff that it may not necessarily be true. But what I was trying to say was that in the industry right now, we're in this moment where we have the technology to capture real performances, and that's what we're doing with Far Cry. Far Cry 3 is all about that, or at least that's the piece that we're adding that wasn't there before, right? Then we want to set that in an open world setting, have that awesome sense of vista and scale, player-driven, player choice and combat, all those things that have always been part of Far Cry. Preserve all of that and then add this new layer on top of it. Now we're getting into that marketing speak thing where it's like I don't know this I can talk to you, but I can't do this.
Yeah.
If you want, I mean, we can talk about that.
No, let's just. Well, there was another on a completely different.
Yes, you're bouncing all over.
More silly, I guess.
Yeah, right.
When you were working on Red Steel 2,
Yes.
what would have you done if Nintendo told you, okay, this is Red Steel 2, we can call it Mario Red Steel 2, and you're gonna sell 5 million copies?
Oh man, that is one of those questions.
A plumber with a role.
Yeah, I can see it. I would probably, ironically, I would probably play that game, right? If it existed, I would buy it, right? I think it'd be pretty, that sounds like a lot of fun. You never know. One of the things that I've learned in my career is that you never know what you're going to say to the crazy thing that comes down the pipe until you're standing in the room. So you're standing there and they say, okay, here's the plan. And you go, okay. Then oh my God, we're doing that, right?
And no bathrooms.
Yeah, right. right.
Still too.
Yeah. So it's surreal, right? You never really know, right? I probably would have done it. That'd be my guess. I probably would have done it because whether or not that's being a corporate whore or whatever it is, I probably would have gone to it. But you got to understand. I've 100%ed every Mario. All of them. So I wouldn't mind actually working on a Mario game. It wouldn't be a bad thing, I'd be like, really, Mario with a sword? That'd be pretty cool, actually. I've got a real soft spot for that kind of play, and that sort of. I think it's an incredible series. So purple coins.
Yeah, well, I'm laughing because last year, before coming here, he was at my house, and we spent I think 2 hours and a half with him watching and me trying to get the 252nd star, and in the end I made it. Yeah. And I had 34 hours of game.
There's always that moment at the end. I remember, especially in Galaxy, there was one at the end where I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? There's only 2 more. There's only 2 more. I can do this. I've done it before. It's gonna be right. And after your 40th death in the same place, right? You're like, I'm just gonna take a break. Come back. And then when you get it, it's funny. You get it, and it's not like yes. It's like, okay, that's done.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it's, I don't know what that is, but it's the same thing that drives me to play Demon's Souls. It's the same thing. It's because I hate myself. I don't know what you're going to do with that quote. I really, good luck with that.
Yeah, we're going to just throw them
really.
in the open. Now, I kind of got lost in my notes. Oh, I was reading a blog post you made on Gamma Sutra. I was just Googling
Which one?
Your name.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the fact that basically what you do is create, not metaphor, allegory.
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 Allegory post. Yes. Wow.
And I was guessing, is that...
I didn't know anyone read that.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
That's one of the results you get by Googling your name.
Got it. Good to know.
That is nice. But it was really interesting. But I guess, is that the only way you can actually deliver a message in a big budget game, but not boring the audience and just putting it behind?
Well, it depends on what you mean by message. We should first, if your goal is to communicate a particular message, you're probably going to fail, right? You're in a lot of trouble right there, right? Because that's not how audiences want to be treated, right? Audiences want to be presented with an opportunity to interpret a message, right? They want to, and so you have to be a lot more gentle than that, right? You have to sort of present it that way. So you can talk about theme, right? Like if you were going to do a game where the world has collapsed and it's like post-apocalyptic and it's all about how humans rely on each other for survival and that kind of thing, and how we can rebuild society, right? You could sort of raise the topic of that idea through your setting. And that wouldn't be through allegory, right? And I think you could argue that there's a message that would be sent there, right? My argument is that that's here. It's not here. Just because someone understands playing the game that you, the designer, wanted to talk about civilization in a post-apocalyptic scenario, right, and human beings and their connection, doesn't mean that they learned anything about that through that play. Learning through play requires that the system itself engage your emotional systems, right? And the way that games do that is through allegory. That's the way meaning comes through in systemic play, because that's what allegory is. Allegory is a way for us to assign meaning to something that doesn't obviously have that meaning, right? It's an interpretation, right? So, I mean, if all that crazy intellectual mumbo jumbo makes sense to you, then I mean, the simple answer is yeah. I think that if you're talking about meaning that will affect the player and cause change, I think that all of that meaning that I've experienced comes out of the allegorical level of the game, not out of the topic. The topic to me is set dressing. The topic to me is the color. It's like the flavor that I like. Right? I like dark, gritty, adventures about human beings. That's the kind of flavor that I like. Maybe I do, maybe I don't, but if that's the flavor I like, then I'm going to play Far Cry as an example. I'm going to play, right? But if I like, cartoony, happy, bright, emotional, sort of like that kind of expression, if that's the color I like, I can still learn the same things from a game that has from the same game that has two different skins, as long as the system is there to teach it to me. It's a tough spot we're in right now, games. So I hope that answers your question. It's a really tricky spot. Okay.
You said you come from playing basically role-playing games when you were a kid?
All kinds of games.
But you love also Mario? So you're an all-around
Well,
gamer?
I did, yeah. So yeah, I'm an all-around gamer. I focus. So my dad. I remember vividly. My dad brought home the very first Atari, the 2600, right? And we had Ataris all the way through Atari. You Commodore people could just. I love you. I love all of you Commodore people. It's just that the Atari was better. No one cares anymore. So I've been playing video games since I was very, very young, and I've always had a soft spot for platformers. I played Crash Bandicoot till there was no end. I mean, I played all of that, right? I love that. I love sort of third-person and first-person action adventure, right? I've been playing shooters since Wolfenstein, and I've played the entire pedigree, and I will continue to do that because they're super, super fun. And I play role-playing games, I play puzzle games, I play, pretty much, all-around gamer. That's, I don't discriminate very much. If a game is good, what I really like is a tight integration between the game's theme or message or allegory, right? The sort of the topic that's being discussed, the brand, if you will, and the play. I love it when those two things fit together in a really nice way, and that can happen in any genre. Right? So.
And is there a specific genre you would like to work on?
I've worked on almost every genre. I actually used to joke, before working on Lord of the Rings Third Age, I used to joke that all I needed was an RPG and an RTS and I'd be done. I'd have a full set. But I did an RPG. And now it's like, so if I work on an RTS, it's like, I've done shooters, third person, I've done CD-ROM, sort of FMV point and click adventures, I've done, I would have the whole set, right? I haven't worked on a massive game, I haven't worked on that thing, but I don't really seem to care so much about that. I don't seem to care so much about particular genres. It doesn't seem to be my focus in terms of work. I would happily work on just about any genre. I think as long as I found the play and the context really compelling. So.
And this is not a very original question, but is there one specific video game made by someone else you would like to have worked on?
Thief. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No question.
Okay.
Yeah, the first one.
Gigantesco.
Yeah.
Il gioco gigantesco.
Il gioco di
The mega
Oh. Yeah. Before E3, he wrote. Well, we worked together on an article
Yeah.
on like the fantasy game we would like to see at E3.
Oh yeah.
And the one that that was met with more joy by our readers
Yeah.
was this one.
It's a bestseller.
It begins here and it ends
The
here.
Elder Scrolls presents Wii Sports, FIFA 12, GTA Mario, Call of Duty, Episode 1, Angry Birds, The World of Warcraft at the Olympic Games. Now, I would buy that game. I would give you $60 for that one.
See? It's a
Oh,
bestseller.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's Mario, so it will be
Yeah, but
5 million
I'm
copies.
right there. No, I mean, I've played every one of those games. So, I mean, it's, absolutely. It's fantastic.
Okay.
Endless.
Did you ever consider, or have you ever done voiceover for games? Because you're really good at.
So, you remember Red Steel?
Yeah.
Red Steel 2, Pain? Remember the first boss?
Yeah, that was you.
That was me.
You knew about.
Yeah. In fact, I was also I have this voice, and audio directors on my team always do the same thing. They're always like, "Hey, you got a pretty good voice. You seem like a ham, right? Like you want attention and stuff. And so, can you act? Yes. Okay. Can you go do the temporary voices?" And so I do. I always do like temporary voices for the games that I work on, and then every now and then they forget to take them out. So in Lord of the Rings: The Third Age, I was the Witch King. The guy with that guy, and I was there was these the barbarian men that came down on Rohan and attacked, right? These barbarian guys. Rah! Those guys. That was those guys. So those are the kind of voices I do, right? Pain, basically a loud, self-important asshole. I can do that. If you need that character, I can do that, right? But if you need a hero, not really your guy.
Well, it depends on the game. I mean, you could be a hero in some twisted.
Yeah, I guess so. If you need a real actor, you should probably find somebody else. That's
Or probably the voice of Mario.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
That would be a nice one. Maybe Wario.
Yeah, Mamma Mia. Wario. No, I'm more a Wario guy. Wario. Yeah, he's always the one I play.
He wanted to apologize because he forgot to fill in the evaluation form for his.
Oh, that's all right. It's all right. It's all good. It was, it's all right. It's all fine. They apparently my talk last year was very popular, and so there was all this expectation built up. I'm like, they put me in the big room, and there was people were like, it's gonna be great. I'm like, oh, shit. I hope it's good.
It was his first time at GDC,
Yeah.
and that evening he came at the hotel. Oh, geez, this is beautiful!
Oh.
Yeah, Mamma Mia! And he had movies, and even if he shouldn't have, he made movies, and everybody is watching them.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'd love to see that. I'd like to see the bootleg in the audience version of that talk.
In the glasses.
Yeah.
The camera.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I'd like to have that one actually. I bet it would be better than that one.
Okay, I guess unless you.
No, I tutto.
It's all
No,
good?
I think we're okay.
Okay. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
It's been my pleasure. Really.